Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. As you know, I'm also into scuba diving, and I'm developing a new type of harpoon gun. And my idea is to use a spring as a propellant, shooting a massive steel bolt, just because you need something really dense and heavy for underwater effect. So above water, this would only be effective on a very short range. So a while ago, I developed this little scuba springer, and it's actually a neat little pistol. As you see, it's propelled by a powerful spring, and you load it fairly easily just by pressing it against a surface until it engages. Okay, and now you see that it is compressed in here, and then you can aim at whatever you want to aim at and shoot. It works, and it is kind of cute. What it is not is powerful, and that is totally unacceptable for us here at the Slingshot channel. So we had to go bigger. So this is the spring that I was using in the little scuba springer pistol. I decided to get a bigger spring, this one. As you see, it's a lot longer, it's a lot thicker. It's a lot more powerful. And so I built a scuba springer made for this one here. And let me show you what I came up with. Meet the Scuba Springer 2.0. Let me show you its features. It is very basic. I actually made it from 3 layers of plywood that I then turned in the lathe. And then of course I oiled it so it's watertight. We'll probably have to seal it with yacht glue. Or paint, and the construction is super simple. As you see, here is the compressed spring, and I have made several different projectiles, and this one is basically for decoration. So it looks like a trident belonging to Neptune. So it's probably not very effective for real underwater purpose. And you have this simple trigger here. It's the single moving part in here, and it is quite powerful. So let's see if we can shoot this. And bang! Okay, so you can see how long the spring normally is, and of course it goes in to about here. And it's as small as can be. Actually, it reminds me a lot on a weapon that I read about in one of Terry Pratchett's books about the Disc World, and that is the spring gun. It's actually an assassin weapon that they used for like very short distance. So a weapon that is supposed to be 30 centimeters long, like this, basically being a tube with a spring that can shoot projectiles like small bolts. It's exactly what this does, except that this is for underwater purposes and not for above water purposes. I still think that the assassins in Terry Pratchett's Discworld would have loved it. Specifically since I've made some really interesting projectiles for it. So you saw Neptune's trident, which is really basically decoration. But I also made this one, which is basically a blunt. All of those are made from nails, from 9-inch nails. And you can definitely see that this one still looks like a nail. So if I want to stun a fish, that would be the arrow that I would use. I made this one, and this one basically has an insert from a normal arrow or a crossbow bolt, so I can use any kind of broadhead or field tip, just put it into here. And this one is probably most badass. Because it's simply, I think this basically is a ballistic knife now, because I used the blade from a cold steel hideout knife, so it's very heavy and very deadly. So this is the blunt arrow. As you can see, it looks very simple, and I definitely don't want to be hit by it. You have different shooting techniques. I can use this to shoot it with my index finger, or I could also operate it with the thumb, so that is both possible. And okay, so the blunt, you direct it at the target and fire. Oh, missed. Take careful aim and fire. Ha! So this of course is a lot harder to cock than the small pistol, and specifically with the pointy tips you don't want to press it into wood because then you can't get it out afterwards anymore. So I like to press it against like an aluminum piece or something like this. Okay. Alright, so seems like this tip is kind of crappy. This is probably unhardened steel, crap that it's probably made somewhere in Asia. Not that everything that comes from there is crap, but this is crap. Sorry. So, but let's shoot. Okay, and go. Ha. Now this, of course, is the most scary tip that I have for the spare gun. And of course I think it would also perform really well underwater, because the heavier, the more dense, the better things fly through the water. And this one definitely also is super sharp, and as you see it's properly hardened, so it's not as crappy as the Chinese tip. But of course on land it's only good for rather small distances. Okay, okay, and fire! Ha! I definitely don't want to be hit by it. So this went in against the fiber direction, and therefore I think the penetration is fairly impressive. Again, this will now need some boat varnish, and of course I need to test it out underwater, but I have high hopes that it's working properly. And who knows? Maybe there will even be like a 3D printed version that is much more watertight, since this is as simple as can be, and I think it can be made rather inexpensively. So, I like it, and I hope you do too, because that's it for today. Thanks, and bye-bye.